Take me to where they are keeping the princess, and I shall spare your life. Long live the king. So be it.
What is up, everyone? This is Great Fiction here, once again, with another video where I wanted to talk more about the world that Vladka lives in. And what I mean by the world, basically like the storyverse. The storyverse, I wanted to call it the Grave World because most of the stories that I plan to put in this verse and connect them to Vladka's story, they are grave stories. And a lot of the stories, they do not have happy endings. So don't expect any, the guy gets the girl and they live happily ever after, or, anything like that. Or a character who's pursuing revenge, they get the revenge and then, right off into the sunset. No, the grave world is a lot of things may go unfulfilled, or the ending may be bittersweet, but it's not a happy ending. It might leave a sour taste in your mouth. That is what I am attempting from this story verse. And a lot of writers that I kind of like see doing having their own story verse, I think I'm not going to say that that's like a big milestone for every writer, but for me that is kind of like my milestone. And I don't want my story verse to be some crazy epic like Brandon Sanderson's The Cosmere or Tolkien's Legendarium. I'm not looking for anything like that, but I do want my own story verse where all these characters fit in the same world. They have to, abide by similar rules, and maybe even might meet in some aspect or some way or form, or something like that. A lot of the stories, you'll probably see characters with similar last names to characters from previous stories, or you might even have a character who guest stars in another book, or the main character of a previous story might even make an appearance. Who knows? I'm still, kind of like picking and choosing what stories that I want to try to write, but I do have some ideas for some stories. And the stories that I have in mind range from dark romance, supernatural thriller, and a dark urban fantasy, basically. Yeah. So those are three ideas that I have. Oh, even a suspense story, which I'm in the works of making an audio drama about that. Yeah. So stay tuned on that. Anyway, to kind of get into the grave world, I wanted to fill it with basically like, one thing I want the grave world to have is, I don't want to do the trope with like good and evil, So basically you have one character who is just straight up good. Like everything he does is good. And then his opposing threat is a person that's just straight up evil, does everything because he's evil. No, I want to try to make all the characters complex. They have their flaws. And from one character's perspective, dang, bro, what you did was messed up. While another one might think they are right. So I want to try and attempt to do that. And I want to try to do that because I want to see if my writing capabilities of writing characters, or fleshed out characters, let me say that, has improved. And this is basically this story verse is basically my attempt for that. Like the antagonist for Blood and Wrath, who I enjoyed writing him, even though, I did have one reader say that, like, as they read his point of view, it kind of just seemed like there was a lot of information that was just being thrown at them to kind of making it hard for them to kind of like digest the previous revelation that he got about this character. And that was my attempt to kind of like make you hate him more and just kind of show how everything he's done has kind of like changed him so much, and he's pretty much so far gone. And what I like about this character is, of course, you and Vladka, she thinks what he's doing is wrong, but for him, the ends justify the means. As long as basically, even if it means hurting his own people, if inevitably what he does ends up saving his people or his future people, then everything he's done hey, he can wipe his hands clean and say, hey, it's cool. I can live with whatever outcome is to come at the end of my journey. That's the type of character that he is in Blood and Wrath. And I enjoyed writing that. Because kind of when I was reading it, I was like, yo, I hate this guy. But at the same time, it's like, dang, I kind of understand. You know? So I want to write characters like that in the Grave World. Or even, okay, we got like a main character who is like, he was, in the beginning, he was a very sweet, kind-hearted character. And you probably wouldn't expect him to like pull the trigger on a gun, but like stuff happens. He kind of loses himself and all the things that he's like kind of like bottled up for so long. All it takes is just one thing for someone to say that like they know would like kind of break him, and he snaps. And you do see that with a character in the Grave World. He kind of snaps and he pulls that trigger. Something that he probably would have never done or never thought he would have done if all the stuff hadn't happened. So I want to write stuff like that. And as for my next antagonist or next big antagonist, I want him to kind of be an antagonist who is somewhat relatable to real world things, despite the supernatural aspect, of course. But I want him to be relatable because there are people like that where you're an innocent child or, you know, or whatever, and you may get picked on for being different, made to feel weak, you know, pushed around a lot. And there's two paths this innocent child can choose, where they take that, you know, take those feelings that they have and go left, where they try to kind of like grow beyond that, you know, or convince themselves, hey, I don't want other people to feel the way I felt. So they try to better themselves so that they can help others and stand up for others. Or you can take the path on the right, where basically you kind of like pursue something to gain power. So now, boom, the same people that picked on you, now you're stronger than them, and now they're the weak ones, and you can basically, you know, blur the lines and basically hurt the people that's weaker than you. And even the people that, you know, are innocent, that didn't do anything to you, you start doing, you know, picking on them, making them feel weak, hurting them. But you lose sight of who you were in the beginning, and you basically become a monster. And that's the type of antagonist that I'm trying to create, where he went one of those paths. But what's ironic is that the main character, I'm trying to make him mirror that. Instead of going the path on the right, the main character is trying to steer to the path on the left. So it's like, boom, two sides of the same coin, basically. And I want to try to use this story as my attempt to try to like write technically a single character in the perspective of two different characters who basically had some type of parallels to each other, and you see how they diverge. And I want to try to, you know, attempt to do this to see if I've grown as a writer. And basically, honestly, at this point, I'm just trying to have fun writing and telling the stories and challenging myself to improve myself and my skills as a storyteller, because I'm not going to stop chasing my dream of becoming a writer that people love his stories for. You know, I don't care about being famous, but it's like, I would love to have a little fan base, you know, my little niche, you know, following. That's what I'm pursuing, you know, the people that I can enjoy my stories with, you know, because I feel like they deserve to be heard, of course. But that's everybody. And you know what? Everybody who has a dream, don't stop pursuing that dream. You can, you know, go clock in for the man, but you can't clock out for yourself. You know, you got to keep, you know, once you clock out for him, you got to clock in for yourself. And yeah, life can be challenging, and, you know, stuff can get in the way. Procrastination is the biggest killer of dreams. And always telling yourself you'll do it tomorrow, where, you know, there was a wise person that said that there's a graveyard full of people who said that same thing. So keep that sentiment in mind when you tell yourself, hey, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. Because that's what I've been trying to do for myself. Tell myself, hey, I'm not going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it today, right now, this very minute. But anyway, I'm just kind of like just blabbing. But for the people that tune in and watch my videos and my animatics, thank you. Because it's what keeps me going and keeps me trying to, you know, have fun with my creative mind. You know, because you either use it or you lose it. And you guys are the reason I'm still trying. So as always, for the new viewers, please, you know, hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for, you know, whatever future projects I have in the works, or just hit that like button. Thank you and have a good night.